All right, so next round, multiplying radicals. When you're doing the square root of something times the square root of something, the way to do that is you just multiply the two numbers underneath and stick it under a single square root. So let's look at an example of how to do that. How about the square root of 6 times the square root of 15? Well, all you have to do is do 6 times 15 and throw it under a single square root. So the square root of 6 times 15 is 90. Now, your final answer, your radicals need to be simplified. So let's see, can I split this up? Well, 90 factors into 9 and 10. 9 factors into 3 and 3. 10 factors into 2 and 5. So I see I have a pair of twins. 1 3 will come out, the other one goes away. 2 and 5 don't have twins, so they have to stay under. In other words, 2 times 5 stays under. So I've got 3 times the square root of 10. Done. Okay, next one. Let's look at something where maybe we have some numbers in front. Like 2 times the square root of 5 times 3 times the square root of 10. Well, I want you guys to think about this. If it was like 2x times 3y, you could do 2 times 3, which is 6xy. So here, I can just switch the order of my multiplication. So I do 2 times 3, which is 6, and then the square root of 5 times the square root of 10 gives me the square root of 5 times 10, or the square root of 50. Now again, look to see if this 50 will factor. 50 factors into 25 and 2, 25 factors into 5 and 5. So one of my 5's comes out, the other one goes away, and I get, now when this 5 comes out, this is really 6 times the square root of 50. So when the 5 comes out, I need to do 6 times 5, which is 30, and then this 2 stays underneath. 30 times the square root of 2. Be very careful, guys. Again, when the 5 comes out, it multiplies by the number in front of the square root. So 30 square root of 2. All right, let's do one where we have some maybe squaring going on. How about 5 times the square root of 11, quantity, that whole chunk squared. Now remember that if you were ever asked to square a number, all that means is to take that number and multiply it by itself. So I'm going to actually write this out. Squaring this thing is to take 5 square root of 11 and multiply it by itself. 5 square root of 11. Now just like in the problem above, I can multiply the numbers in front. 5 times 5 is 25. And then multiply my square roots. The square root of, now 11 times 11 is 121. Now, interestingly though, if 11 times 11 is 121, that means that the square root of 121 is just 11. So I can rewrite the square root of 121 as 11. So I have 25 times 11. Now if I had 11 quarters in my pocket, I would have $2.75. So 25 times 11 is 275. A nice, cool little fact that you can take away from this is if you ever are doing something like the square root of 6 times the square root of 6, that's just 6. The square root of 21 times the square root of 21 is equal to 21. When you take the square root of something and you multiply it by itself, you just get the number underneath the square root. And this is something that's going to come a lot in handy when we go to rationalizing denominators, which is the next video. Again, if you're having troubles with multiplying square roots, please feel free to give me an email and I'll type up a few more examples, or I can hopefully pinpoint exactly what you're having trouble with. Okay? All right.